Agile data infrastructure is really the way people are thinking about the new era of storage infrastructure or data infrastructure. So in the past, we used to store data in some very specific silos of infrastructure. Now people are looking to share that infrastructure and really turn what used to be a burden on their entire IT environment really into a competitive advantage. So something that is an infrastructure, something that is agile, and something that really stores the vast majority of the data and the information within an organization. So I think there's three advantages of an agile data infrastructure. The first is that it's intelligent, so that it can really integrate with applications and can have a real impact on the service that IT delivers to an organization. The second is that it's really immortal is a word we use, and that really is about building an infrastructure that is always on. You don't take it down for planned downtime. You don't take it offline at all. That's what people expect from IT. So really the data becomes immortal as the underlying infrastructure changes. The last thing is that it needs to be infinite, or it really needs to scale to sizes of data capabilities, sizes of information storage that really weren't even dreamt of a few years ago. If you think, by 2020, we expect that there's going to be 50 trillion devices connected to the internet. Can you imagine the amount of data that needs to be stored because of that? So really, we're talking about systems that can grow into the multiple sort of tens of petabytes of storage, even to an exabyte of storage, all within the same storage architecture. So I think efficiency is always going to be important to any business. If you think data is growing, predicted to grow at 800%. Over the next 5 years, you can't just keep buying more and more storage to store that data. So it really has to be stored in a much more efficient way. Netapp has a whole sort of series of tools and techniques to basically allow companies to store the same information, but in an awful lot less physical storage. And that's something we've been doing for the last 10 years. Technologies such as deduplication, compression, thin provisioning, thin replication, those sorts of things. The important thing about the shift to an agile data infrastructure is that you can't force organizations to make a choice between efficiency and agility. So we have to maintain those efficiency techniques and capabilities that mean people have to have the option to buy far less storage whilst adding in other layers of intelligence. The concept of non-destructive operations or immortal data, and then the scale that now is required. So you don't, stopping people being forced to make that choice, really. I would say if I was going to pick one thing, it would be non-disruptive operations. So in sort of traditional data infrastructure or storage architectures, what people do is they buy a system, it lasts for 3 years, they throw it away, and they buy a new, bigger system. And they have really the pain and the cost of moving their information and the data from the old system to the new system. With non-disruptive operations or immortal data infrastructure, you never have to do that again. So you have an infrastructure that can start and scale from where you are now, almost infinitely into the future with A, no migrations, and B, no downtime, which I think is a fundamental change in the way people are thinking about enterprise storage architectures. Yeah, so I think the best customer example that we have of a customer using agile data infrastructure is CERN, with the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland, they have the vast majority of the infrastructure that runs the Large Hadron Collider running on an agile data infrastructure built on. I think we expect some very large transformational projects happening in the market. So, for example, I was at Cisco Live event this week in London. We had a customer speaker there who is basically a global customer, a company called Aegis. They transformed their infrastructure from 164 data centers around the globe to a few core data centers built on an agile data infrastructure. So I think we will see some of those projects. I think the majority of IT owners really will start to look at how they're going to build their journey towards an agile data infrastructure. So starting with efficiency to free up investment to do more interesting things. They'll start to look at maybe using cloud infrastructures the impact that big data can have on their organisation, and really start to think of the architecture for the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, that's the change. That's why we're doing this event here, now today, is because there is a pretty fundamental change happening in the way that people need to build and are building data infrastructure. So most will start, some will really make wholesale change.